How do you pull a 90-pound sled and then run sideways to have to carry 80 pounds of dead weight and then sprint back and forth again for the second time? This is actually the breakdown of the sprint drag carry in the Army's new combat fitness test. And today we're going to be going over some exercises and techniques and tips that you can have inside your own training program to set you up for high performance at this event or at your job or profession that you have. There's two things I want to point out to you about this event that do seem to be fairly misleading. One, this is not a test of the amount of intensity that you can place against your body. Instead, this is a test of your body's ability to maintain its posture as stress is applied to it. If you want to surprise people at your performance whenever you go to this event, train to be able to maintain your posture regardless of the amount of stress that's placed upon your body for that 3-minute mark. That's how long that they have to pass this test. If you can do that, you're in danger of surprising people with your performance. The second thing I want you to remember about this is while you're doing all this movement and running back and forth, short steps are the key to good performance at this. And this is true not only for the sprint drag carry, but for running, for ruck marching, for swimming. Big long strides also mean that you produce a lot of counterforce that your body has to adjust for. By taking smaller steps, by maintaining those small cadences, this is less counterforce that your body has to counteract to. And this in turn leads to more efficient movement and leaves more energy in the tank for you to be able to produce power over a longer period of time. And that's how you're able to easily max this event whenever it comes to your testing day. But right now, my name is Benjamin Morris. I'm a tactical strength and conditioning facilitator, a military master fitness trainer, and Pacific Best Warrior winner. And I'm going to be giving you some exercises that will help you train and prepare for the test. A lot of these exercises are going to be focused around your ability to maintain your posture. We're going to continually reinforcing that. And we're going to be working a lot on our glutes and our hamstrings at the start. And because of that, we're going to be having hip thrusts and bridge exercises that we're going to be leading off with. And the point of these is that we want to maintain good glute activation, involvement, and hamstring strength and endurance throughout all this, because those are going to be the ones that have a large responsibility at helping us maintain that posture even as stress builds up against the body. Because as stress is applied against the body over time, posture is the first thing that we start to lose. And if you can maintain that posture, you will perform very well at this test. So, hip thrust. This is going to be the first one we're going to lead out for. And this time we are going to be using a barbell, but I want to point out to you that if you don't have one and you just want to use a broomstick or a regular pole to be able to do that, you absolutely can. You can use whatever type of straight object that you can find around you. Barbells are great because you will be able to place more weight on them. This is a power exercise. So this is not meant to be an exercise that we're trying to get you to do upwards of 10 to 12 to 15 reps on. This is something that you're looking to do 6 to 8 reps on, but with a lot of load on those glutes. So once we got that barbell and we sit down and we roll it up to where it is in the hinge of our hips, that's where we're going to be centered at. We want to make sure that we have something solid for us to lean back on, something that our shoulder blades can catch on. That's what we're going to be pivoting on, is on our shoulder blades, not on our elbows, not on our shoulders. We want our shoulder blades to catch, and that's going to be the pivot point. So barbells in the hinge of our hips, shoulder blades caught, and our heels are firmly planted onto the ground. Once we have all those, we're going to take and thrust our hips as high as they can up into the air, moving that bar with it in the middle of our hips. One key note before you do start to go push up, a training tip that we like to utilize here is to have your hands pressed down on that bar into your upper thigh as you're pressing up. It just helps you keep it steady, helps you keep it nice and still. Once you're all the way at the top, try to hold it there for 1 to 3 seconds before you allow yourself to go down. One quick note, once you're all the way at the top, this is where you really need to stop and judge your heel position. Your knees should be at a good 90-degree angle. If your heels are too far in, it's going to limit the range of motion as you start to press your hips upwards. If your heels are too far out, your hamstrings are going to be too activated as you start to press up. So you want to have that good 90-degree angle inside your knees as you go to perform this exercise correctly. So once you have the barbell all the way up and you've held it for the 1 to 3 seconds, slowly in a controlled manner, lower it down to the ground until either the barbell or your butt touches the ground. And once it does, you're going to fire back up with as much force and energy as you can, driving it all the way up until you're able to go to the point where your shoulders, hip, and knee are in good alignment. You're going to hear us talk about this a lot throughout everything today. Shoulder, hip, knee, good alignment. That's what we're looking for. Don't shortchange yourself. If you lack the ability to be able to get to the point to where you have that good shoulder, hip, knee alignment, you have tight hip flexors, your back won't allow you, whatever it is that's preventing you from that, drop the weight and don't be trying to go to big massive weights until you can reach that proper form on it. If you have to stretch, if you have to roll out, whatever it is, take the necessary training tips in order to get to that point before you start really applying weight to this. Once again, this is a power exercise, so 4, 6, 8 reps, that's how much weight should be on this. Don't be trying to do this going for 30 to 45 seconds. Keep the reps nice and short, lots of power, make those muscles start to generate that power over a long course of time. The next exercise we're going to go to is what we refer to as a pike bridge or a pike hip thrust. This is going to require some type of a box or a chair, something that's going to have some type of ledge at roughly knee height for you to be able to, while laying down on the ground, put your heels up on. Make sure that they catch good and solid. Once you're there, you do want to have your butt a little bit farther away from the ledge than what you usually do. Whenever you're ready to perform this event, this is an endurance exercise. That's how we regularly teach this. With your heels firmly planted on the ledge, legs straight, you're going to drive your hips up towards the sky to the point where you have that shoulder, hip, knee alignment. Everything's in good alignment. And once you're there, you're going to try to hold this for 10 seconds. So this is not a continually up and down movement. Up, try to hold this one for minimum 6, go for 10. If you can hit 12, great. Try to hold it up there. Lower your hips down, nice and controlled until the hips touch the ground. Then you're going to drive your hips back up, go into that good shoulder, hip, knee alignment, and try to hold it for 6 to 12 seconds once again. Maintaining good control. Like I said, this is an endurance exercise. You're going to be teaching your body to hold that posture over that extended period of time. As we talk about glute activation, it's important that you understand that your abs, your glutes, and your big toes all work together consistently. They're always talking. They're always engaged. There are a lot of exercises that we can utilize to teach our body to maintain that core activation, that glute activation over a long period of time to help it start learning that habit. The one that we like to utilize here the most is what we refer to as an overhead press hip thrust. To start off with this exercise, utilize some type of pole. This is the best to start off with. You're going to be laying flat on the ground. Take a hold the pole and lower it down as if you're getting ready for a bench press. You can absolutely have your elbows on the ground, but roughly know where you're going to have that bar coming down across your chest. Before you're ready to perform this movement, you're going to fully extend your elbows and push the bar all the way up. Once you're there, you're going to rotate at the chest and slightly lift your shoulders up off the ground. And this is a common running technique. You're going to be tucking that upper rib down. Tuck the upper rib down. Like it's going to cause that slight core activation inside of it. Whenever you do this, remember you're rotating at the shoulders, so you've actually raised the bar forward. Once you're there, you're going to start performing the regular hip thrust to where you're driving your hips as high as you can up to the ground. Once again, we have that shoulder, hip, knee alignment and back down. Hips up, hips down, maintaining that same forward lean in your shoulders throughout this whole time. So there's a little bit of core activation and your glutes are consistently have to work. Fire on and off, raising your hips up and down. Now, this is the warm-up for how to perform this exercise at its highest skill level. This is utilizing a band. Take some band, have an anchor point back behind you, and then take and raise your shoulder blade slightly up off the ground, your shoulder slightly off the ground, and tuck that upper rib, fighting against that band, pulling against that to where it's wanting to pull your shoulders back. Now we've caused a lot of really good core activation. And we can start driving, same exercise, driving our hips straight up and straight down as we did before. But master the ability to do this with a pole, become comfortable with that. We usually recommend 10 training days or roughly 2 weeks of training and have this worked into your routine and then add bands into it. Remember that we always want to overvalue form in our training. This is one case where we really need to do that. If we're trying to teach ourselves to have our good core activation and glute activation for the purposes of these exercises. Next one up we're going to be going into is what is referred to as a single leg bridge. To start off with this exercise, we're back at the bridge position where we're laying on the ground looking straight up at the ceiling. This time we've only planted one heel down. We have one leg straight out in front of us. Whenever we're ready to perform this exercise, we're going to pull our heel in slightly more than what we usually do. And then we're going to go ahead and drive our hips all the way up to the sky until we're at that good shoulder, hip, knee alignment. But we've kept that other leg nice and straight. We want to raise our hips up. Another point that we're watching this time, we want to be able to have our knees right beside each other. We don't want to have that foot that's off the ground. We don't want that knee too high. We don't want it too low. Generally, the right answer is knees right beside each other. Then we're going to lower our butt down to the ground, hinging at the hips until that leg, that straight leg, comes all the way down and touches the ground. Once it's touched the ground, then we're going to once again drive our hips up to the sky. The point of this exercise is not to maintain control of this straight leg, but rather to maintain control of your hips while you're only driving off one leg, to keep them moving as if both legs are driving off, to maintain their good posture even whenever one leg is the only one generating the force. So driving it all the way up and then allowing your hips to drive all the way down. Now we can also scale this up to help us whatever we're doing our lateral inside the sprint drag carry. In order to do that, we're going to do a CU. That's the name of the exercise, banded CU, where we're just going to take a band. It's going to be knee length on our legs. We're going to have it around both of them. And once we're up in that hold position to where we have our legs driven straight up and we have our knees right beside each other, you're either going to make a C or a U, just moving in that half moon with that leg that has the band around it. And once again, you're trying to have the hip control, right? Hips aren't moving, they're staying nice and still, and moving that knee with that band around it in either a C or a U, however you want to do it. But make sure that the body is fighting that urge to adjust to that banded force. Hold everything good and still inside that posture. Once you're done with it, lower your whole body back down. This is generally a strength or endurance exercise. Try to do this for 30 to 45 seconds or to at least go over 10 to 12 reps. The next exercise that we're going to be going over is referred to as a swimmer's bridge. This is a really good exercise at teaching the whole body to work together to maintain that posture. We're going to go to the same bridge starting position where we're laying flat on the ground, heels flat, and we're going to be driving our hips straight up towards the sky. We're going to be holding at this position. Once we're there, we're going to take both hands and knife hands straight up into the air. Fingers pointed straight up at the sky. Once we have this, rotating at the shoulder, we're going to bring one pinky and one thumb, rotating them down to the ground. Once they both touch, we're bringing them both up to the starting position, stopping and holding, making sure our hips are still all the way up and we have that good shoulder hip knee alignment, and then alternating, bringing the other pinky and thumb back down to the ground. Once they touch, rotating back up to the starting point again, making sure our hips are all the way up towards the sky, and then rotating to the other, and then alternating to the other side. Once again, arms straight up, pinky and thumb to the ground, bring them back to the starting position, make sure hips are all the way up, and pinky and thumb on the alternate side, return to the starting position, hips are all the way back up. This is the swimmer's bridge or the swimmer's hip thrust. This is another exercise that usually we do for time. We try to go 30 to 45 seconds, so more of an endurance type exercise. The last bridge exercise that we're going to be talking about is referred to as a fast march bridge. At the start of this, we said that small steps are very important to maintaining that high performance, not only in the sprint drag carry, but in running and rucking and swimming. We need to teach and reinforce that small steps help us generate power over a longer period of time. And fast march bridges are the #1 exercise at teaching and reinforcing that. So we're going to be going back to the bridge position to where we're laying on the ground looking straight up at the sky, and we're going to once again drive our hips up to the ceiling, shoulder, hip, knee, good alignment. Once we're here, we're going to be holding it, and we're going to, in small steps, take our feet out as far as we can. The whole time we're marching out, shoulder, hip, knee, and good alignment. Once we've marched out as far and as fast as we can, we're going to march back in. March back out, march back in. March back out, march back in. We're trying to do this as fast as we can, small steps, keeping that hamstring engagement, making them continually firing. And this is very similar to the effect that this muscle has to perform, not only whenever it's having to pull that sled, but also whenever it's having to run, whenever it's having to control that deceleration of your leg whenever you're ruck marching, whenever it's having to generate power on the kick whenever it's swimming. We're reinforcing that we want this muscle to control the deceleration of our foot, and we want to keep it nice small steps so that way we're able to maintain that posture over a longer period of time. There's less small force that the body has to equate for. Now, a very common exercise that we like to use here a lot is what we refer to as a hip driver. This is a great exercise for somebody who spends too much time sitting in their chairs, somebody has tight hip flexors. If you suffer from glute amnesia, this is a great exercise for it. It just helps you reinforce keeping that good glute activation in your life. This is something you can do in your office. You can do this anywhere. This time we're going to practice utilizing not only that good glute activation, but that core activation that's going to be important for us to maintain that posture while going through this whole event. We're going to be doing kneeling wood choppers. So we're going to be going down to the hip driver position to where knees are on the ground, toes are out from underneath us. We're going to set our butt on our heels, and we're going to drive our hips all the way forward. Once again, shoulder, hip, knee, good straight alignment. This time we're going to have a kettlebell, and it's either going to be sitting on our right or left. Either side, it doesn't matter. Whenever we're ready to begin this exercise, we're going to take and rotate this, bringing it over from whatever knee it started at to the alternate shoulder, rotating across our body. Once we're there, we're going to stop and hold control movement. We're going to transition overhead over to the other shoulder, and then we're going to bring it down to the adjacent knee. So we've made a little X across our body. Once we're back down there, we're going to stop and hold a control, swing it back up over top of the shoulder, transition over top, over to the other shoulder, and bring it back down. Just reversing the pattern that we just did. The point of this exercise is not swinging the kettlebell. The point of this exercise is controlling your hips and shoulders during the kettlebell's travel. Bringing it up, transition overhead, back down, back up, transition overhead, back down. Preventing your hips and your knees and your shoulders from reacting to that force, making them maintain that posture during that transitional force moving back and forth. One key note on this exercise: you are not a samurai. There's no samurai sword swinging in this. It's a straight up to the over top of the shoulder, transition over, down to the knee. Do not swing the kettlebell, but try to maintain that control. We recommend that you do this for 30 to 45 seconds. We do consider this an endurance exercise. Now we're going to be going into some exercises to help you carry that 80 pounds of dead weight. The one that we like to use here is what we refer to as a farmer's high knee carry. Right, so farmer's carry, very common exercise you see a lot. You're going to have weight carried on just one side. So you're going to be standing, weight on either the left or right hand, trying to go ahead and block and brace your shoulders and your hips. Now, we can go ahead and practice our form that we're going to have to utilize whenever we have to do the carry part of this event, where we have our shoulders back and seated down, back's pulled in, it's good and engaged, shoulders are down, but we went ahead and tucked that upper rib down too. Right, so now we've locked in our upper body so that it's well braced to support the 80 pounds of weight. So now that we're there, shoulders back, locked in place, upper rib tucked down, we're going to be holding the weight on one side. We're going to raise one leg up until the point where our upper leg is parallel to the marching surface. So our knees formed a good 90 degree angle. We're going to stop and hold it there for 1 to 3 seconds. Whenever we're holding this, we're going to resist the urge to adjust to the weight on one side of the body. And that's the point of the exercise, to resist that urge, to once again practice correct posture. Right? There's going to be a lot of core activation that has to occur on this. Right? As we suck in and hold everything good and still. After you've done that, go ahead and lower that foot down to the ground. It's okay if you take a small step. We don't want you to be lunging too far forward. Just one shoe length is generally all that we recommend. After that foot's down to the ground, we're going to go ahead and raise up the alternate leg to the point where, once again, the upper leg is parallel to the marching surface, so the knees formed a good 90 degree angle. Stop and hold for 1 to 3 seconds. Resist the urge to adjust to the weight. Try to hold the shoulders and hips nice and still. 1 to 3 seconds, lower the foot down to the ground, alternate to the other side. We usually do this for 30 to 45 seconds. Once again, this is an endurance exercise. We're not trying to do it for reps. You can do this backwards. Make sure the path is clear behind you. Recommend that you generally have a battle buddy whenever you're trying to do this backwards. But you forward or backwards. Remember that the point of the exercise is to resist the urge for your shoulders or hips to adjust to the off-balance weight. Now we're going to be going over some exercises that are designed to help you learn to engage your back whenever we're trying to maintain posture during the course of this exercise. The first one of these is what we refer to as a bird dog row. It will require some type of bench. You can find one anywhere, and some type of good solid weight. You're going to start with left hand, right knee, or opposite side, right hand, left knee. You're going to have it down on the bench. Now we're ready to perform this exercise. Have whatever hand's not down on the bench, that alternate hand down and grab that solid weight. We'll be using a kettlebell here. You could use milk jugs, you could use laundry soap, whatever you can, just a good solid weight. And the alternate leg, we're going to go ahead and kick out and go into that good bird dog position where the belly button sucked all the way to the low back, glutes getting engaged, holding that heel up, hands smashed down into the mat, other knees good and secure. And now we're going to be trying to do a regular row while maintaining that bird dog position with the weight, trying to get our elbow to fully travel through its range of motion, to where it's traveling all the way to extension and pulling it back as far as we can, trying to get that elbow behind our body. Remember, we're not allowing our chest or our spine to actually rotate with the weight, but try to maintain your balance. We're going to be teaching our glutes to stay engaged while our abs are really engaged, trying to control our balance, and our back is performing work, trying to control some motion, trying to get some work in. That's what we're reinforcing and teaching this exercise. This is a really fun exercise to do. Usually we do try to do it for a set amount of times. You can absolutely do this from reps. There's not a wrong answer, but try to put this one in your routine because it does teach the whole, it's a very complex movement. It does teach the whole body to work together. It's a great exercise. We love it. We prescribe it and utilize it all the time here. The next one that we're going to be going into is referred to as a side plank row. So we're going to be going into the side plank position. We're laying flat on the ground. We're going to have our elbow down, shoulder stacked directly over top, legs fully extended out to the side. And we're going to be taking military standard, right? We're going to be taking our bottom foot, putting them in front of and on top of the top foot. So once we're there, we're going to be maintaining that good shoulder, hip, knee alignment. And we're going to be picking our hips up off the ground. Still maintaining shoulder, hip, knee alignment. So we went into that side plank position. Difference is this time we have a band anchored out in front of us. So that upper hand, it's going to be reached forward. It's going to be around that band. And it's going to be trying to have that elbow travel through its full range of motion. Right? So it's not necessarily the row. That's not what we're looking for in this. But as the back's engaging, as it's having to perform work, pulling this band, elbow traveling through its full range of motion, your body keeping its hips picked up to where that shoulder, hip, knee is maintaining that good alignment throughout this whole exercise. That's the point of this exercise. And it's once again reinforcing good posture against stress over a long period of time. This is another, you can either do this for either reps or you can do this for time. Either one of them is just fine, but a good exercise to teach your back to maintain that good engagement while trying to hold posture. Last exercise we're going to be going over is referred to as a side lateral raise. Now, we are going to make a few tweaks from this from how you normally see it. Remember, we're trying to reinforce and teach good posture underneath stress. So we do want to go ahead and drop the weight down from probably what you're used to doing with this, but we're not going to have any type of pillars to grab hold of or anything like that. We're going to be standing, good core engagement, squeeze our butt, back's good and set. We've tucked that upper rib down. With that lighter weight, what we're doing is raising our arm up to the point to where our elbow is straight out from our shoulder, thumb slightly tilted up. And the point of this exercise is not raising your arm, but once again resisting the urge for the rest of your body to react to this weight. Don't be allowing your body to sway, to move because your arm has changed position. That we want to be able to teach it to be able to hold still. Once you do this, you'll feel the strain go from a lot of your shoulder to your back. Because those muscles that are responsible for pulling and seating your shoulder back, they're going to be responsible for pulling that sled. They're going to be responsible for carrying that weight whenever you go to perform the carry in a sprint drag carry. They're going to be engaged. They're going to have to be working during this exercise. And that's how a little change in the side lateral raise can really benefit your performance in the sprint drag carry. The majority of this video, we did talk about ways that you can improve your posture, how to maintain your posture over time, and how that will result in increased performance. Running is an important part of this event, and you do have to have the ability to have efficient utilization of oxygen inside your body. This is what we refer to as VO2. There are a few training methods that you can utilize to increase your body's VO2 max. The simplest and easiest one of these is what we refer to as 30-30 sprints. Very simple. You're going to go out and sprint for 30 seconds, walk for 30 seconds. Sprint for 30 seconds, walk for 30 seconds. Generally, we like to see people get to 8 to 10 reps of this, and then we'll start bumping them up to 45. Once we're able to maintain 45 seconds of that sprinting, 8 to 10 reps, then we'll start bumping them up to 60 seconds. But generally, once you're in that range, you're going to safely assume that you're not only going to easily pass, but you're going to go back to what we promised you at the start of this video. Because you utilize exercises in your program that help you learn to maintain your body's posture and resist the effects of stress upon your body, and you've developed that VO2 max inside your body for you to be able to pump oxygen out and make good utilization of this, you're in danger of surprising people with your performance whenever you go to the sprint drag carry. And that was the point of today's video. So again, Benjamin Morris, Tactical Strength Conditioning Coach, Pacific Best Warrior, Drill Sergeant 10 Cycles, Military Master Fitness Trainer. Remember, pressure is a privilege. I thank you for your time. Please push the subscribe button. It helps us out a lot, and thank you.